I'm here with Mirza to talk about Siamese and their latest upcoming record, Elements, out August 9th on Long Branch Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time. I see that you're looking good, you're looking fresh. Are you excited about this album? Does this album have you pumped?
Yeah, man. I think it feels like the best run up to a release that we've ever had. Also because our calendar and our schedule has been full. We've been really busy this year. We've really been doing some crazy, bucket list stuff this year. And so I'm really happy and pleased, and everything in the band, everyone in the band is happy too. So yeah, I really can't complain. And now I'm here with you back
Yeah,
this
and
with the last record, and now I'm back, and I'm pleased. Thanks so
Yeah,
much for having me.
and I want to kind of merge, not merge, but like piggyback off of Home and move on to Elements. And I felt like Home was a very successful album for you guys. It opened a lot of doors for you. How much did the impact of that success shaped what Elements has become?
It definitely did. I'm sorry, I know you're recording, but my internet connection is unstable. So I was trying to mix it up. Pedro, is it possible we can do this again? Because I just simply think it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
it's
If you
lagging.
log out and then just log back in, we'll start recording the other one. I'll stop.
I'll just I'll just change the Wi-Fi and yeah, I'm
Okay.
back.
All right. So let's start fresh. I'm here with
Let's do
Mirza
it.
of Siamese to talk about Elements out August 9th on Long Branch Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time. Before we jumped into Elements, let's talk about Home and the impact that that record had. I see that album as a very successful album for you guys. I feel like it opened a lot of new doors. So, how much did that success impact what you guys wanted Elements to be all about?
Definitely. I feel like Home did open a lot of doors for us. And it was a record that it was very genuine, that record. It was very honest, and it was written in a very difficult time in the history of everyone. So it did influence us in the way that, and this is how we always write records. We've been writing songs for over a decade now, and what we have tend to do without getting bored as songwriters is do at least two records that kind of connect to each other, that kind of sound alike, but are an evolution. So I would go back to say, like, when we did the Shameless record and the Superhuman record, I thought of it like Superhuman is the evolution and maybe even the better version of Shameless. And now, if I dare say so, think that Elements is the evolution of Home, just done even more thoroughly. Because when we wrote Home, we were touching upon very fresh grounds. It was very new to us to do it the way we did it like that. And Elements is just an evolution of that. And I hope people agree. And I've just been over the moon with the way people have reacted to all of the singles that we've done.
When I listened to the album, I had the impression, at least my perspective when I listened to the album, was that the two core elements of Home, you guys turned it to 11. And the two core elements for me were that at Home, you had a heavier sound presence, and you also had this almost R&B style approach to a lot of the songwriting. And on this record, the songs that are heavier, and the songs that are R&B inspired are even more R&B inspired. I felt like you guys took those two avenues and turned it, like I said, all the way to 11. Is that the way you perceive this album to be as well?
I don't think we set out like a target to do anything. But I do believe that especially with the heavier stuff, we've been touring a lot. We've been playing a lot since 2020, since 2021 of the release. I think we've been on maybe 9 to 10 tours, and um, we definitely felt like the heavier parts and the heavier songs just spoke a lot to us. Uh, and it was just something we wanted to repeat and continue because we now know by heart that we are a live band, first and foremost. It feels like when people see us live, that's where it kind of, when I don't know how you say it in English, but it's like, now it makes sense to me. And then people join the boat and hopefully never leave. So having that in mind was like, okay, we want to do these heavy songs because it's gonna catch people on live, and then it's gonna catch people on later on. The popular things, the R&B things, it's coincidental. I think it's just we always go for the hooks. We always go for the hooks, and sometimes they're even poppier than we wanted them to be. But you know, that's just how it is.
And then having a vocalist like you helps because I feel like it doesn't matter what I put in front of you, you can always deliver. And this record is no different. I'm always blown away by your vocal performance. You're so versatile. You have such a great voice. And in this record, it doesn't matter if it's the heavier song or the poppier song. You always sound phenomenal. Where does that versatility come from?
Oh, thank you first and foremost. But I think it comes from listening to a lot of different music, and it also I think it also comes hard work, man. I mean, um, I beat myself up a lot in terms of delivering in the studio, but also live. It's something that's always been a big part of my headspace is to be able to do something on record and on stage that I can truly be proud of and that I can truly master. Um, in this day and age, I'm pretty sure you can agree with me on this. In this day and age, it's very easy to manipulate anything. And I'm definitely not saying that I'm not manipulated on the record or live even, but I'm pretty real, and that's a thing that I've just been striving for my whole career. Is whatever happens with the sound, whatever happens to the scene, wherever people go. I mean, if you listen to the singers, that do the same genre as I do, that it sounds sometimes like nobody's singing, and I'm just don't want to be there because then I really don't fucking know why I'm there.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to be on stage to sing. It was very important to me from the first time that I saw my late father sing on stage. It was something that I was like looking up to and being like, I want to do that and I want to do it real and raw. My dad was a outrageous alcoholic and he would just go up, but he had this beautiful voice and he would just sing like, it was back in the 90s, and you just hear him sing and you would be like, wow, that's what I want. And I want that, I want to convey that kind of feeling to people as well when I up on stage, like, oh shit, this guy can sing live and the same on record. And so I think it's that drive. It's that drive to give people something, especially in our part of the scene, which is very produced. Um, I hope to give them something more raw. Yes.
And I think, and speaking of produced, I mean this album it has great production value behind it, as Siamese records always do. And I think where perhaps you are able to cut through is in the emotion that you deliver when you're singing. Because it's not just about the singing; it's about the emotion. And I find that even on tracks where there's some like electronic elements attached to the vocals or what have you, the emotional side of your delivery has always been what connects me to your music because you make me feel what you're feeling in the way that you're delivering it. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, I think it's everything. Uh, because you can feed the cows with good singers in this world because there are a lot of good singers. And it all comes down to finding your own voice, I guess, finding like your thing. And my thing became apparent just like a couple of years back, where I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be honest with this and that, and I'm gonna let this part of my voice shine through, and hopefully people get it. And this takes time. Actually, it takes time to reach that your own voice. I guess it takes time. But when you get there, things start to happen, I guess, and then people recognize that voice and recognize that, get an emotion, and hopefully get an emotion. So, but yeah, I feel lucky to hear something like that. I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can get as a singer, for sure.
And speaking of emotion, I wanted to ask you this because with Home, I felt that the album was super emotional in the lyrics, in the delivery, and in the sound. It's undeniable. When I listen to some of the songs on that record, it's still one of my favorite albums that I play. When I don't know what to listen to, that's the album that I go to because the emotion on that record really spoke to me. I
Mhm.
felt this album, while having an emotional touch, it doesn't feel maybe as clear to you, to me as the listener, what the emotion is. Is this album for you as emotional as Home, or you see this one a little bit more mature from that standpoint?
I think it's a tough one. It's a good question of how it feels. I think definitely a song like Vertigo that I wrote means a whole lot to me because it's part of a recovery from what I have been feeling these last couple of years. I was hit by some anxiety around Corona, and the Home album is pretty angsty about that. So it's like writing Vertigo is my last let go of that. I feel like I'm in a good place now. Um, but maybe what you are thinking and what you're feeling is pretty real because it's not. This album is not made in the midst of a crisis, which Home was. Home was made out of real necessity, and Elements is made to build on what we've already created, and that might give you the feeling. But I think Andreas wrote some of the songs, the lyrics, and I think definitely the sincerity uh, still prevails. But I definitely also think, and I've always thought so. So why change it? Uh, Albums out of necessity and out of real pain, especially in the lyrics, will provide you with more, up close and personal. But that's maybe also something you need to keep, a little bit on distance because it could also turn a bit too much. I have a, I used to listen to Stain a lot, like Aaron Lewis and his stuff. I was very inspired by him when I was younger. And then at one point, it just got too much for me. It was just the same fucking story. And I was like, dude, I've been listening to you 10 years. And you haven't moved emotionally. So what's going on here? Are you really meaning what you say? So maybe this time, Elements isn't such a trauma dump as Home was, because Home was kind of a trauma dump sometimes, like, oh, fuck, I feel bad, and fuck, I fucked up. That was kind of what Home was. And I think maybe on Elements, life circumstances made me not necessarily feel like I had to trauma dump all the time, even though I do it a little bit. But there's definitely Elements is definitely a more lighter album in terms of the lyrics.
The moment I heard this song, I knew exactly what to ask you about it, and that is God is a woman. Are you sure God is a woman? Because I think God would fuck up a lot less if God was a woman.
I hope God is a woman. Now that I've done the song, wouldn't be bad for me, right? When we stand there in the final. Uh, so yeah, yeah. But listen, I love that song. I love Ariana Grande. I've always done. And the funny story about that song is we did a whole song, which was our own original song with own melodies, own lyrics to the track, which was not an Ariana Grande cover. It was just a track. And I just started singing God is a woman over it. And then it just, oh, there you go. it fits. And we were like, let's do it. Let's keep it like that. And that's how it came to be. I
Oh,
really like that. It's one of my favorite. I
it's one
know
of my
it.
favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I definitely agree. I really, really, really like that song. And it's one of the songs, I've listened to the album maybe 120 times. Uh, and it's always, you always have like three songs you go back to that give you that energy. And God is a Woman is definitely one of them.
Another interesting track is the Shape of Water. You guys got 1056 on that track. How did that partnership come about?
Well, actually, I am, I also work behind the scenes. And for a period, I was actually managing 1056. I
Oh, I
was
didn't know
working.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was working with them behind the scenes. And Aaron is just such a good guy. And I just asked him, would you mind doing me the honor of just whispering a little bit here and then screaming some Linkin Park inspired breakdown things? And he was like, yeah, all on board. Um, so that was that. That was that. I love that track. The funny story with that track is that it was actually written as part of like a package of riffs to send to Bring Me the Horizon because Andreas knew the producers who were working with Bring Me the Horizon. So he did like 10 songs, and Shape of Water was one of them. They obviously refused all of them. So we were like, this one is too good to just throw in the bin. We're gonna use it ourselves. So we did that.
Good choice, good choice. I'm glad it made the cut. Is there anybody out there that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with on a future Siamese record?
It's funny you ask. Just today, I was thinking that. Just today, I listen to a lot of the music that comes out. Like, I'm one of the first guys to just bump through my release radar and then just go out on Facebook. There are these groups with new releases, and I just thought to myself, who would be cool to work with right now? So I can give you a pretty fresh list of people that I would love to work with right now. One of them, my top number one, is the Plotting You. Think what those guys, the way they've revitalized and reemerged and redeveloped their whole sound currently, is just amazing. And the way that they, on one hand, can drop this poppy single and then do Forgotten and don't, it's and do those heavy singles. I really love it. I love his lyrics. I actually today considered getting a quote tattooed from the Blood in You. That's how much of a fanboy I was of that. That would be my number one right now. I really, really love that. I also started listening to this girl called Vanna, which I really think is cool. Vana. I really, really like her sound. I really like her creative ideas. I think she's doing really, really well. So like that would be cool. Hopefully it could be something that would be within my reach to work with a person like that. Um, I don't think the bot in you would work with us, but Vanna is someone I was like I'm really admiring. Um, Other people also obviously more within our reach. I would really love to do something with Nothing More that we just toured with because I think his voice is incredible. He always adds something, and I've never seen him do a feature so far as I know. He's probably done some, but it's not much. So he would be like a good one, you know. And there's so many bands out there like right now. They're doing so well. I would say Silent Planet. I really, really love their last record. I would love to work with them. Um, who else? Who do you think? Who should we work with?
I don't know, man. I think you guys, it all comes down to you working on one of their tracks or them working on one of your tracks. I think
Hmm.
your versatility, you can pretty much work with anybody, to be honest. Um, who I would like to see working with you guys. I would like to see you guys work with Spirit Box.
Yeah, yeah, that would be massive.
I
That would
think
be
that would be
really
really
incredible.
cool because I think you guys could create a really solid duet. And I think it would be because her clean vocals are really good,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I think you guys could do something super cool vocally on a track together. I think it would be yeah, I think it would be super cool to see something like that.
Yeah, I hope Spirit Management just casually drops by this interview and listens to your track. That would
Hey,
be
you got to
that would be
put good
great.
vibes out into the world, and then you never know what's going to happen. You just never know.
Exactly.
You just never know. Nothing more kind of surprised me. I didn't see I didn't think they would be on your radar, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I love those guys, and I've always listened to Nothing More. It's actually one of like the first band that got me into the scene back in 2008. So yeah, they've been following. I've been out of the loop for a while, but then I listened to their effort in 2021, and now the new one they just released. I
Mhm.
think those guys are killing it, man.
Yeah, they're a great band. Here they get quite they're I wouldn't say popular, but they're well known. They get a lot of playing time on the satellite radio and stuff like that. I've seen them live 3 or 4 times.
Mhm.
They put on an insane show, so that
Yeah,
is for sure. They put on an insane show. Yeah, so I think that would be an interesting one, but more into a more modern sound or a band that's a little bit more on the radar. Definitely Spirit Box. I think you guys could
mm.
do something super cool together. Um, and I think it would really stand out. I think you guys could do something really outstanding. At least that's, and I'm not a huge Spirit Box fan, but I would love to hear you on with them on a track. I think that would be outstanding. I think it would be maybe that would be what would sell me on Spirit Box.
Make it happen. I'm here for it. That's for
Well,
sure.
they're Canadian. Maybe if I give them a call or something. I'm just putting good vibes out in the world.
Hook me up, Pedro. Hook me up, man.
And I need to ask you this about your you said something about being going through some anxiety and stuff like that in the pandemic. I'm going to be honest with you. I've gone through I never had any issues with anxiety or depression or anything like that prior to the pandemic. And following the pandemic, personally, I've struggled with a lot of that stuff as well, and just even like really pushing myself to go out to shows because otherwise I would just stay in my house all the time. How much of that has an impact in you as a singer? Because obviously, it has an impact in you as a person, but does that impact your vocals in terms of how you define some of the lyrics and define some of the melodies within the lyrics?
Oh, my brother. I, you know what? I've made it kind of my promise going forward. It's fine here because obviously it's an interview I brought up myself, but I kind of learned the reason that I kind of got anxious is because I had so much time to sit and think and talk about my problems and talk about my head. And that became a real fucking issue. And the moment I stopped giving it so much space, it stopped being a problem. So that's what I learned because what happened was, and I know you're asking about melodies and the lyrics and stuff, but I'm gonna tell you like a real situation that completely fucked me. And that was, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but that was a real thing that happened to me because all the anxiety that I had built up during Corona, and then we started touring back in 21. And when you're in that mood of overthinking everything and oversharing and over talking and all, it's just there with you all the time. So I went from not being able to breathe. That was my thing. I was scared that I couldn't catch a breath. And then you couldn't go all the way through. You know that feeling where you're just
Mm.
halfway there. And that was my thing in the beginning. And I had chest pains. It was so fucking terrible because I was just breathing all the time. I was breathing excessively, and I did all the tests that I could take, and it was great. Everything, my vitals were fine. Nothing was wrong with me. And then all of a sudden, I was like, hey, what's wrong with my voice? Is there something wrong with my voice? Oh, I gotta sing tomorrow. Is there something wrong with my voice? Oh, I can't reach that note. And then that stuff, which kind of did what shouldn't happen. It just stuck in my head, and then up on stage, it blocked me. So that happened. And all of that happened now in hindsight, I know it happened because I gave it so much space. I let it do this to me. And at some point, I don't know what I actually we did a wage war tour, which was a 35 days, terrible 35 hard days. Every day we were playing. I was singing every day I was doing it, and every day got better. And then, bam, I was just doing it. It was easy. I can do this. And then I just thought to myself, oh shit, this is just because. This is just because you're imagining stuff, and also because you just need to practice. You just need to get in there. And after that, I changed my mind. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna think about it. I'm gonna try not to give it space, and it changed. So it was about to rip me to shreds. And when you think about how many problems we have generally with mental health in this industry, um, I kind of found a way, and I'm really really happy about it. I was like, damn, that could have, because I was playing the biggest show of my life. I was not enjoying it. I swear to God, I was hating it. I was hating it to the fullest. I only wanted to go down to the merch. That was my top moment of the whole night. That was to go down to the merch table and talk to people, get a beer because it was done. It was over with. And when you do this, and you might imagine how little money there is in this fucking thing, it has to be fun. And if it's not fun, I would have, if I didn't change that, I'm not sure I would have continued a lot, for many years. That's for sure. But now I'm in a good place. I've learned, I figured it out, and it feels so good. Like the Nothing More tour was the best tour I've ever done in my life. It was so fun. Every night was great. And we did the Corey Taylor tour this summer. So fun. So great. So I'm relieved to say so. Sorry, that was a long one.
No, that was good. That was good. And it was a good note to end off our conversation. So, Mirza, thank you very much for your time, man. I really appreciate talking to you about Siamese, the latest record, Elements. Once again, out August 9th on Long Branch Records. Always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I hope to see you in person soon on your next North American tour. And I'll see you then. All the best to you and the guys.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you for having me. And hopefully I'll see you guys in North America in October.
All right, man. Take care, man. All the best.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Bye.